What's going on YouTube? Snowflakey's Emos here today with another deck profile. It's a new version of my Prediction Princess Terratray deck for the TCG. Prediction Princesses, of course, are an archetype of ritual monsters and flip monsters because the ritual monsters support flip effect monsters. So we're combining them with some of the most powerful flip effect monsters in the game that will really hurt our opponents. And, utilizing the fact that we can be constantly flipping them up and down. Prediction Princesses got some newer cards recently, so the deck definitely has a nice little boost, and we're going to be taking full advantage of it. So with that said, let's get into the cards. Starting off with our monsters, I am playing 2 copies of Prediction Princess Terratray. Prediction Princess Terratray is one of the big payoffs for the deck. It's a ritual monster with 9 stars, pretty cool. Of course, you can ritual summon this card with Prediction Ritual, and then during the end phase, you can special summon a flip monster from your hand or graveyard, face down, defense position, and of course, you can only use each of the following effects of Prediction Princess Terratray once per turn, and these next 2 effects are quick effects. You can either, during either player's turn, target a face-down monster and flip it into face-up attack position, or target a face-up attack position monster and flip it into face-down defense position. So definitely pretty cool effects to have. Special summoning an effect monster is nice. There's a couple big level 9 flip monsters that we contribute to ritual summon it, and there's really powerful flip effect monsters that we can use its effects for to flip and get their effects going that we're going to be seeing. So the ability, of course, to do that on either player's turn is great, and of course the ability to special summon a flip monster from our hand or graveyard face down always gives us something that we can be flipping on our opponent's turn, and it's just pretty good. Next, we are playing the newer Prediction Princess Ritual, Prediction Princess Terratray. Terratray here is a pretty interesting card. It's another 9-star ritual. You can ritual summon this with Underworld Ritual of Prediction, which is the new ritual spell for it. And it either must be ritual summoned or it can be special summoned with Prediction Princess Terratray's effect, which means if Terratray is on the field and its end phase effect to summon a flip monster would activate, you can pick this card even if it hasn't been ritual summoned, which is pretty sweet. And of course, you can only use each of the effects of Prediction Princess Terratray once per turn. And you can activate one of these effects here. You can either flip any number of face-down monsters you control to face-up defense position, or you can flip any number of face-up monsters you control to face-down defense position. So that's pretty cool. Unlike Terratray, which can only do one, you can do a whole board of flip effects with Terratray, which is pretty sweet. And of course, the monster additionally has its own flip effect. Flip, you can special summon a flip monster from your deck in face down defense position. So that's pretty cool. That flip effect is the reason that Terratray can summon it with its effect. And of course, given that Terratray doesn't need to be ritual summoned, it can be summoned off of Terratray's effect. Makes it pretty handy. It gives Prediction Princess kind of what I thought it definitely needed, which was a way to flip a monster down and up on the same turn. Now, with both rituals on the field, you can flip a bunch of monsters up and then down, which is pretty awesome to have. So Terratray is a good 2 of for the deck. Next, we're getting into some of our flip monsters that are our big flip monster payoffs. First, 2 copies of Guard Dog. This card is incredibly powerful in this deck and is your main win con. Guard Dog, of course, is a flip monster that says your opponent cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is built on special summoning, and if you flip Guard Dog and your opponent can't special summon, they may not be able to do much of anything. And with both Prediction Princesses on the field, the rituals, you can flip it up and then flip it down so that you can continually be flipping it on your turn or your opponent's turn, just in case your opponent could summon some things on your turn. But yeah, basically, if you get this set up, your opponent's draw phase, you can flip Guard Dog. They either got to have imperm or that's a droplet or that's it. Just very powerful. If Guard Dog activates, usually closes out the game. Next, I'm playing 1 copy of Day X Crawler. Day X Crawler is pretty nice. It's a 9-star flip effect monster, which means it can be the entire tribute for either of our Prediction Princess monsters. And of course, your opponent cannot activate a card or effect that targets this face-down monster, which is interesting. Or when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this face-down monster. I meant to say that you can change this card into face-up defense position. While this card is in... and what's nice about this card is when this card is flipped face up, it is a one-sided skill drain. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects while this card has been flipped face up. Now, it's only got 2,000 attack, but 3,000 defense, which is pretty beefy. So being able to flip a monster effect kind of skill drain is pretty nice, and makes it a good tool to have if we don't have Guard Dog. Next, I'm also playing one Pot of the Forbidden. Pot of the Forbidden is another interesting 9-star flip monster. Its flip effect is that you can activate one of these effects. You can either draw 2 cards, return all spell and trap cards on the field to the hand, destroy all monsters your opponent controls, or look at a card in your opponent's hand and shuffle it back to the deck. All of which are very powerful effects, and which effect you want can be utilized at any time. You know, oftentimes destroying all monsters your opponent controls is very nice because it disrupts them in the middle of their play or their combo, which is pretty sweet. But also, once you've got your opponent on the back foot and they've drained their card advantage, that shuffling a card back into the deck can be very powerful. And so Pot of the Forbidden is a solid card for that reason. Next up, I'm playing 3 Prediction Princess Coin Rama. This is the only one of the Prediction Princess flip non-ritual monsters that I think is worth playing. Prediction Princess Coin Rama, of course, says flip. You can special summon a level 3 or higher flip monster from your deck, face down defense position. Now for the rest of this turn, you can only activate Prediction Princess monsters, which is pretty interesting, but that can be used to grab Pot of the Forbidden, Dex Crawler, or Guard Dog, all of which are things we want to see. And that makes it pretty handy. And of course, the other thing that makes this card so nice is this card is searchable off of the Prediction Ritual spell, which we'll talk about in a bit. So, you know, just a good addition to have in the deck. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Tindangle Jurelth here. Tindangle is pretty nice, mostly for this flip effect. You can take a flip monster from your deck, except Tindangle Jurelth, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. That's pretty nice. Either of those locations means that Terratray can special summon it. So if we can get Terratray and we can get Tindangle Jurelth, then we can, you know, grab whichever card we're looking for and special summon it. So Tindangle Jurelth is mainly in here as a consistency tool because we want to, you know, get to that Guard Dog payoff. And in addition, for the consistency boost, we are playing 3 copies of Crawler Dendrite. Crawler Dendrite is nice because flip, you can send a monster from your deck to the graveyard. So that's nice. Can be Guard Dog, any of the flip effect monsters. And that's mainly what he's in here for. Pretty solid. Next up, we're getting into the Incantations, which are one of the ways we're going to definitely quickly get to our ritual monsters. We got 3 copies of Talismandra here. Talismandra is nice because you can reveal a ritual monster in your hand and special summon this card and 1 incantation from your deck. That's pretty nice. All the incantations have a way to summon themselves by revealing either a ritual monster or a ritual spell. And then, of course, if this card is special summoned from the deck, you can add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. So that's pretty nice. That means if you're pulling Talismandra out of the deck, you can add any of the prediction ritual monsters you want, either Terratray or Terratraith, which means usually we want to be either pulling Talismandra out of the deck or the next card, which is 3 copies of Incantation Candle. Incantation Candle is the spell equivalent of Talismandra. You can reveal a spell in your hand to special summon this card and 1 incantation from the deck. And then if this card is special summoned from the deck by the incantation effect, you get to add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand. So pretty sweet. Between these pieces, we can usually get whatever piece of the ritual we are missing. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Incantation Pencil Plume. So Pencil Plume is like Talismandra. You special summon it and another incantation from the deck by revealing a ritual monster. And of course, this card, if it's special summoned from the deck, can target a ritual monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So that's a nice little recycling tool if we have, you know, an incantation in the graveyard. I mean, a prediction ritual in the graveyard. And of course, our last is 3 copies of Incantation Bookstone. Bookstone reveals a ritual spell to special summon itself and another incantation from the deck. And of course, if this one is pulled from the deck that you can add a ritual spell from the graveyard back to your hand. So maxing out on all of those just because we want to see those. We want to get to our ritual turn 1 every time, and that is just very handy. Now, do note, all the incantations do have another effect that says you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck while these monsters are on the field. And that's fine, not a big deal, because we're not summoning much from the extra deck in this deck, and the incantations are mainly going to be our tributes for our rituals. And that is it for the monster cards. Alright, getting into our spell cards, I'm playing 2 copies of Prediction Ritual. Prediction Ritual, of course, says this card can be used to summon Prediction Princess Terratray, by attributing 9 or more stars. And of course, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card to search a Prediction Princess monster and put it in your hand. So that's pretty cool. It can be used to grab Coin Rama or any of the rituals, which is pretty nice. We dig that, which is pretty sweet. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Underworld Ritual of Prediction. This is the new ritual spell, of course. This card is used to ritual summon any Prediction Princess ritual monster, so it can do Terratray or Terratrace, which is pretty cool. Using monsters, ritual monster from your hand or graveyard, which is pretty interesting. If you have your Prediction Princess in the graveyard, then you can ritual summon it out of the graveyard with Underworld, which is pretty sweet. And then, of course, during the standby phase, if you control a Prediction Princess ritual monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a Prediction Princess non-ritual monster from your deck in face-down defense position. Definitely meant to get out the new main deck Prediction Princess level 9 monster, but we're not playing that one. We are just playing Coin Rama, but it can be used to get Coin Rama, which just thins out the deck. Just keep in mind that if Coin Rama gets flipped, you're not going to be able to activate any other effects, so make sure you get your Dex Crawler or your Guard Dog flipped and activated before you would do something like that if you're going to do it this turn. So just keep that in mind. Next, I'm playing 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This spell card allows us to add a ritual spell from the deck to our hand and 1 monster whose name is specifically listed on the ritual spell. So while we can't grab Underworld or Terratraith with it, this card can grab us Prediction, Ritual, and Terratray from the deck to our hand, because this card specifically does mention Terratray on it, which is pretty sweet. That's plus card advantage, that's our ritual that we want to see, and just makes it a good card. I'm running 3 of this because we definitely want to be able to activate that if we can. Next up, I'm playing 3 Pot of Extravagance. We're not doing a lot of extra deck summoning in this deck, so our extra deck is going to be extra draw power. We're going to banish 6 of those extra deck cards face down to draw 2 cards. Now we can't activate any other draw effects, but not a big deal in this case. And that is it for the spells. Lastly here, getting into trap cards, I'm only playing 2 trap cards and just 2 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment is just in here because once I have Terratray and Guard Dog or X-Crawler set up and my opponent is really kind of shut out of the game, I want to have the ability to say no to a couple of the few outs that may exist. Maybe they're playing Raigeki or something like that, and that can be pretty painful. Solemn Judgment just, pays half our life points to negate a summon or spell or trap card activation. So Solemn Judgment takes care of that. Maybe worth bumping up to 3, even though I'll be up in the card, the cards in the deck. But, just a pretty good card. And that is it for the main deck. As far as the extra deck goes for Prediction Princess, not too much to talk about. There's not a lot we can summon. The only thing I would recommend is usually I just cram my extra deck full of generic Link 2s, because the biggest thing you want to do is use Link monsters like Lanfarincus or just whatever Link 2 you can come up with to get Guard Dog or Pot of the Forbidden or something like that off the field, because sometimes when you only have Terratray or Terratraith and don't have when you only have Terratray, I should say, what you need to do is, because you flipped your Guard Dog, you need to get rid of it so that you can use Terratray's effect and special summon it back in face-down defense position. That is an important thing that you got to do in this deck, because you basically always want to make sure you have the ability to have face-down Guard Dog at the end of your turn so that you can flip Guard Dog face up on your opponent's draw phase and they can't special summon this turn. So just something to keep in mind there. Not going to go over the specifics because most of the time your extra deck is just extravagance fodder. So that is it for the Prediction Princess Guard Dog deck profile. Love to know what you're thinking below. Love to know what you're doing with Prediction Princess. There's so many flip effect monsters you can utilize. I know cards like Brainjacker are pretty useful because it's like a snatch steal for you to steal an opponent's monster, which is pretty awesome, something I would consider siding. And of course, there's just so many cool flip effect monsters. We all know my favorite card, of course, is Dice Jar, so I'm definitely going to be playing around with how the new Prediction Princess stuff helps the Dice Jar strategy be facilitated. So with that said, I appreciate you checking out the profile. Love to chat more about the deck and flip effect monsters in the comments below. Thank you for checking out the video. I'll catch you all in the next one.